phone addiction, teenage pregnancy, screen addiction, depression, etc. The list goes on and on. And these are challenges we so often hear about.
Unfortunately, this is not exception to the rule. This is the normal way of life for most young people these days.
You know what? The main reason is that fathers are failing to fulfill their role and responsibilities in their children's lives, then pass the buck to other people.
Yeah, and I think it is time for fathers to be informed about such subjects as social media, sexual confusion, etc., so that they can become the primary teachers in their children's lives.
We cannot leave this responsibility of training our children spiritually and talking about sex to the communities, to the schools, because that is not their job. Fathers, this is our responsibility. It's time to stand up.
So, what is my role as a parent when it comes to social media? When it comes to cell phone use, when it comes to playing games, they all fall in the same bucket, same category, so to speak. And I think even before we get to what we can do about children, we have to ask ourselves, what can we do about ourselves, right? Because we can direct our children, yes, but we should first focus on ourselves. You see children act in a specific way. We know that. What they do is, first of all, they see parents, then they experience certain things, and obviously they hear as well. But the reality is children will more do what they see and experience than what they are told they should be doing.
So when it comes to mobile phone usage, social media and gaming, the picture that you are creating at home is vital when it comes to your child understanding the use of screens and devices. And nowadays we use our phones a lot. We use it for work, our day-to-day lives, and they have become all-encompassing. Your life is right there in your back pocket. And when you come home, you have your work right there with you. So you come home, you open the door and you're greeted by your kids and your wife. And after doing so, you say, oh, give me a few minutes. I need to quickly send this email, or I need to respond to this message because this is really important. And you guys understand, right? So this has now become an accepting form of how we operate in our homes when it comes to phones and devices. And as you get up in the morning, what is the first thing you do? Is it checking your phone to see what notifications have come through overnight? What your news feed is, or your Instagram or Facebook account? And sometimes when you're with your kids, the phone's right next to them while you're playing with them. Your phone's right next to you on your dining table. It's with you when you're sitting on the couch. It literally never leaves your side, and especially if you're using it as a step counter.
What happened with your child is that your child first sees that the cell phone is more important than me or the family for my daddy, number one. Secondly, your child would understand that bonding and relationship is probably based over his cell phone or over the cell phone, because this is what daddy does. He is always on the cell phone. And then lastly, they will see how daddy handles his phone, and that would give him permission to do more of the same. So that's to be that man.
So dads to be, men, please hear me out. These are times when we need to say that, yes, these are great tools. All this technology is fantastic that we have it at our fingertips. But there are times when we just need to put it away and pay attention to the people who are in the room. So for example, when you come home, make sure that your phone is not in your hand. It's either in your pocket or ideally in your work bag or laptop bag. You need to start doing this as an example first. So long before you ask that your children to do it or your family to do it, you should be doing this. Start doing this for 2 to 3 weeks, and they will absolutely engage in the same manner because they will see that their dad is there for them. You will now be able to give them your full attention. You will be able to make eye contact when you're having conversations or playing with them. And this will create an added awareness of the correct usage of mobile phones during family time. You make sure that you don't have your phone in your hand when you walk to the door, like we mentioned. You don't have your phone with you when you're having your meal time on your dining table. It's not next to you when you're sitting on a couch. And when you go to your room, it might be a good idea to switch your phone off or leave it outside your room as well. So do this for a couple of weeks. Set some healthy routines, cultivate some good habits, and then see if you notice any change of behavior or how your attitude of your child changes towards phone usage. So an example from my own personal life is this. My family and I, we just completed an extended road trip around Australia. And some of our driving days were long days. 6 hours, sometimes even 10-hour days, constant driving to get from one location to the other. And we did this over a period of about 14 weeks. So when we started out, we had all these grand plans of playing games while in the car and having these activities while on these drives. But after a while, there's a limit to how many times you can play I Spy and have sing-along songs and different types of driving games. So we resorted to giving our children more screen time than we originally planned, just so that we can have some quiet time to ourselves. We can have a conversation without being interrupted. We can listen to our own music and even just have some silence in the car. So this gradually became more of a built-in routine. And then from that, it developed into an expectation. So causing a sense of entitlement to the screens. And especially while you're exploring the great outdoors of Australia, the last thing you want is your children to be asking you, when can we go on the screens again? So we saw increasing signs of aggression, mood swings in them during this time. And then we realized that now there was an addiction being formed to the screens, which we had to now undo.
Let's look now at the danger of cell phones in children. There's been so much research in the last decade, but one of the best stories is the story of little Noah, who's part of triplets. And recently they took scans of their brains, and two of the triplets had really well-lit areas in the brain function, that was welded up on the scans they had from them. But Noah's results were different. The lit areas were fewer that showed brain function. The areas of Noah's brain showed fewer or less brain function. Why? The reason for that is that Noah was totally addicted to playing games. The screen addiction was so strong that, and that's one of the biggest things that happen when we really play a lot of games or when we are on our screens a lot of time. We create a need for dopamine is created in our bodies that rises up to such high level that we become addicted to dopamine. So your brain will secrete more and more dopamine because your body wants more, and this is all stimulated because of the screen and the impact of the screen time. So this means you need more and more dopamine to a place you cannot satisfy yourself anymore, and this is the addiction cycle. This will cause that I will spend more time on the screen and more time on social media, more time in gaming, just to try to fuel the same satisfaction. Going back to Noah, he was taken to a summer camp and he was unplugged. No screens, no cell phone for 21 days. The doctors took scans again, and Noah's brain was more lit up than his brothers. And the sister and his sister, just because there was absolutely no screen in his life during those days. So, what were the areas that were lit? They were areas or parts of the brain that showed the child's ability to remember, the memory, the attention span, and the decision-making processes. So, the more you spend time on the screen or gaming, the lesser your ability to remember, to have great attention, and to make great decisions. So, can you just see how you can inhibit the development of your child if you don't step in the idea of using less of your phone and social media and instead being part of your family again?
We know now that engagement with social media and our devices releases a chemical called dopamine. One of the biggest things that happen when we play a lot of games or are on our screen for an extended period of time is that the need for dopamine in our body rises to such a high level that we become addicted to it. our brain will secrete more and more because our body wants more because of the impact of the screens. And now the thing is, the more we carry on, our ability or the ability of the body to receive dopamine becomes lower and lower. And this means now that you need more and more dopamine to the extent of where you cannot satisfy yourself. And this is now the addiction cycle, that you need more to get the same level of satisfaction. So once you get a hit of dopamine, you feel good, and this is why we like it. But dopamine is the exact same chemical that makes people feel good when they smoke, when they drink, when they gamble. So in other words, it's highly, highly addictive. So we have age restrictions on smoking, drinking, and gambling, and we have no age restrictions on social media, gaming, and devices. So now this opens up, especially our teenagers, to when they're going through these turbulent, highly stressful times of adolescence, to an addictive, numbing chemical to make them feel good while they're going through these tumultuous times of their life. So if we don't change our behavior or how we perceive the usage of screens, we won't be able to change the behavior of our children. So it starts with us first, parents.
In this video is that we should remember that we are the parents and we do have the right to start changing things. Do not be scared. Do not be afraid. You are not the friend of your child. You are the parent. We are the parents, right? First and mostly. And yes, we have a great friendship with our kids, but we must step in because we know better. As dad, you know better, right?
And when we have children who are addicted to screens, we can see that because when we take away the screens, they will react harshly. They will display withdrawal symptoms or aggressive behavior. And by this, you know that there is an addiction. So when you hear this, don't feel that that you need to step in and take everything away at the start. You feel like you need to make some changes. But remember, first of all, lead by example. Make those changes in your own life first. Lead by example for the first few weeks. Create a picture. Create an understanding. Speak to their heart. Get into the life of your child first. Connect with your child. And through that connectedness, you will win their heart, you will win them, their mind, and you will also win the battle.